righty. Let's see. All righty. Let's see. 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 Well, it's evening time, my brother, my sister. It's about 6:57 on this Tuesday evening, and I just felt like it is time to pray. Um, the the day has been a good one. A lot of meditation and a lot of forthrightness, a lot of examination and consecration as well. And I just felt in my spirit that it was just time to pray. Um, uh, there's a prayer need, I'm sure, under the sound of my voice. There is somebody who's not at peace with themselves. There is someone who may not be totally at ease in their Zion and just needed a prayer partner and one who would just come alongside of them and call on the name of the Lord. I don't know if there is some something going on in somebody's house. I know on yesterday I got a call from one of my members who told me about one of our seniors who had fallen. She was already dealing with a skeletal problem, but she broke one of her legs. I immediately pressed into prayer and then called her, and we had prayer over the phone. I don't know if there is somebody who has something weighty, decision that they have to make, or some determination that need to be made, and the understanding that prayer, talking with God, can help prepare the setting and uniquely see intervention take place. I don't know who it is, but it just seems as if somebody just needs a prayer partner, something weighty, something of heaviness, uncertainty is upon you, and it just seems as if something has to be done, and you don't know exactly what should be done. But the one who does know, if you just talk to him about it, a difference can be made. I'm going to open a prayer line, and it may be you or maybe someone you know. But here's the prayer line that you can call, and let's see what level of intervention God will provide, that what someone is carrying, the heavy load sharer will show up in their circumstance, their condition, and bring relief like no one else can. Here's the prayer line number right now. It is 757 424 57 757 424 5776. Thank you so much for reposting that. And that's the prayer line for tonight. I don't know who it is that is going through some heaviness, but I wanted, as my Lord's representative, one of them, to just encourage you to take a moment and let's go to God together. I believe relief can be received if one would just take a little time from your normalcy, or from carrying that load. Possibly you've come to a point where you can't carry it any longer. You just need to unload it and let God have it, and let God work with you through it and open a door for you that you had not expected to see open, or to believe that it could be open. What is the definition that you want to see God make out of what you're carrying right now? Are you at a point where it just seems like you can't go any further with it, and you need a heavy load sharer to take this thing the rest of the way? It's about to break you, and I'm one who believes that every now and then you need something to break you so that He can make you. Under your own power, you've carried this far enough, and you need the level of release that only the Lord can provide. And in that you've come to a point where you can't take it any further. Let Him have it, and let's see what can come out of it that you had not even seen about it, that the one who can see farther than you can see and know more than you know is able to provide an answer that you could not create for yourself. It's prayer time. The prayer line is open. And the prayer line again, it is 757. If you're not local, but if you're local, it's just 424-5776. If you are local, if you are not local, 757-424-5776. And I want to assure you, and I speak out of personal experience, God does answer prayer. God does answer prayer. I had not expected what occurred to me in the month of December. I in the sense, I didn't even have any prior knowledge given to me. I thought I had eaten some food poisoning, and the more I sought comfort, just to lie down and sense that if I moved wrong, what I had eaten would come back up. I desired for it to come up because I didn't feel like food poisoned would agree with my system. I tried to get up, and when I did, what I had not anticipated did occur. I had to lie down, and my son had to put a plastic bag in the trash can beside me, because the eventuality of whatever had poisoned my system was coming back. It was coming back. It was coming back. And as expectation had made lying down very unsettled. It was not a settled period. And it did not stop. And I thought about just getting up and letting Miss Joyner and my son take me to the hospital, but it didn't ever come to that. And all night long, relief did not come. Anyone under the sound of my voice ever had to carry something through the night, and you were hoping that what was unsettled would settle and you could get you some rest, but it did not come. It would not happen. That was my experience on December 10th, 2019. All night long, what I thought was food poisoning. What I thought was food poisoning was not poison from my food. It was poison from another level. Between no sleep and some sleep that I do not know of, brought a dawning of the new day under the support of my older son. Without taking a shower, I said, this has to get an answer now, and put on some traveling clothes and jumped in where he helped me. I could not see where to walk. I had to put my hand on his shoulders and walk behind him. And Ms. Joyner was highly concerned. Took me to Chesapeake Regional Hospital, and pulled up to the emergency room, went inside, got a wheelchair, came back, got me. I couldn't look up, y'all. I couldn't open my eyes. And all I could hear when I was wheeled through that emergency room door was the nurse or the receptionist sitting behind that desk, and all she said was, "PastorJoyner." I couldn't see her. All I could do was hear her voice. My wife had been praying and crying. My son had been praying and quite concerned because he had not seen Dad in that state before. And they immediately wheeled me on back and started getting some information so they would know exactly how to treat me. And I gave answers as they were prodding me, and they took me to an examination room, and they began to listen to what I was saying, and I couldn't open my eyes. And they asked me why couldn't I, and I didn't know, but I couldn't, but I found out that the more they asked me the questions, Lord have mercy, the more they asked me the question, the more their their medical examination could follow what I said was a discomfort to me, and they were able to get some sense as to just what, and as best as they could, my son and my wife were giving them definition as to what I had gone through that night before, what I had thought was food poisoning. And they kept examining, and kept marking off. No, not this. No, not that. No, not this. No, not that. And later it was determined, and that determination was that I had a mild stroke. Now, I'm a guy that I walk 2.3 miles every other day, but they said I had a stroke. Blood pressure has been kind of high periodically, but they said I had a stroke. I'm not overweight. You can't see right now where I am, maybe a few pounds over, but I was under treatment for it. But I see what they finally determined that I had as a wake-up call for where God was about to take me, what God was about to do through me. One of the fascinations was they admitted me, and I was placed on the 6th floor of the hospital, and one of the visitors that I got there, and I had preachers. My God, the preachers showed up, sons in the ministry and persons I had helped ordain, and they showed up. All of them had prayer with me and for me. But I had been stricken. But one of my visitors was my, and this is part of my shining light of this experience. My daughter-in-law visited me. She's in her 9th month. She was in her 9th month then. And, she took a chance to come in that room, not knowing fully what her father-in-law was dealing with. But she was with her son, with my son, her husband, and she sat there. And I was on the 6th floor. She sat there with a protruding stomach in her 9th month. In the last hours of that 9th month, we later found out, because as I was discharged from the 6th floor in the hospital, 1 week later, her protruding stomach was brought in, and on the 3rd floor of that same hospital, their second daughter was born, and my wife's second granddaughter, and my oldest son's sister-in-law provided a second child. What kind of birth was that? That 1 week, I'm on the 6th floor, holding on to my life, trying to understand why I'm in the hospital. And then here comes out of a pregnancy. Here comes our second child, second grandchild, another daughter. What is it that God had up his sleeve? And as we have been attending to her and giving grandmotherly and grandfatherly assistance, great opportunity of holding her in our arms and caressing her, and as it would be my task to walk her down Blessed Boulevard when she did not feel comfortable and at ease. What was it about that stroke that I had that God sends an answer a week later? And on yesterday, we celebrated her third month in this world, my third month in rehabilitation from that stroke. One of the fascinations of my life is that God sent a second grandchild. You know, grandchildren, grandchildren, or the blessing of them come in, yes, a dimension of a son or a daughter, providing them through the process of procreation. Love births it. But for what it means to have one given to you after you've had a stroke, or after you've come through a storm, or after you've come through something you can't understand why it came at that time. What was the purpose for it coming? I don't have the full answer yet. But while I did not know if I would live again or live to outlive what I could not get understanding of, stroke, I'm yet holding on to the birth of my second grandchild as hope-filled purpose that new life has come, and a youthfulness, a longevity, a new beginning, a fresh start is about to emerge from her birth. After my mixed diagnosis within my own understanding and an appropriate diagnosis from those who are trained to detect what may have happened to me. But I see and I sense her birth being more than just a scheduled event per the release of the seed to mix with an egg to produce another child. I'm God's child. What is it about this second grandchild that my time in the hospital on 3 floors lower, she was born than where I was holding on to dear life? What level of life? How is God going to bring to pass new life in me, or her birth as a sign and symbol of a new birth? I've searched, and there are indications of uh, granddaughters being birthed at some of the most difficult times of a granddaddy or granddaddy's or grandmother's life. And God sent it as a sign of prosperity. God sent it as a difference maker, as your perspective changes and as a new level of maturity grabs you at the beginning of a direction of maturity that could never have been fully realized until you held that baby in your arms and saw through the eyes of that baby the soul of God. And in reflection, she opens a door for prayers being answered that had not been answered prior to her arrival. I don't know what your prayer request is tonight, but the prayer line is open. And I don't know what you have misdiagnosed, that you've missed what God has birthed, that once you get understanding of what he has birthed, you'll get an understanding as to where he's about to lead you, what he's about to bring you through, what he has poised you to prosper in. Because a growth process now is identified with your response, you standing up again, you being able to walk again. The prayer line is open. 424-5776. If you're outside of this local calling zone, just add a 757-424-5776. Somebody is about to enter a phase of their lives that they never expected because of your age, because of your place in life, because of the time that this occurrence did take shape. But you're about to do things you never thought you would do and get answers. That's the other side to this. Starting to get clarification on some of the high moments that you've already lived, but the promise being fulfilled in those high moments never took on the meaning until God birthed something to assist you in seeing why he waited this long to bring this into your life and to do this because of what he did on the third floor. The third floor of your existence, while you were going trying to find out just what was going on from the sixth floor. God, in a sense, took some of the high points of your life and now brings definition to them at some of the other gifted areas, prospering areas that could only be realized after you've had a chance to meditate upon it. Meditate after the medication had settled in from the new diagnosis that had been given to you, that God is sending a new message, a shining star in it, to have you to understand just what is what. You can call now if you got a prayer request. something you don't understand that's going on, but some signs are around you that you don't know the full definition as to just why the signs are there, but you can't read the signs. You're going off on a tangent because of what somebody else told you. But when God starts defining some things, you can start seeing things a bit clearer. So the prayer line is open, y'all. The prayer line is open. I'm not I'm not totally sure if this prayer time was for you or for me, but I do want to let you know, because of what the Lord has already done, I'm sure you are involved in what my clarification from God renders. Because once I got clarified, once I entered into the clarification, and she was here last week. She was here last week. She was here last week. Noelle was here last week. Noelle was, and I had to walk down Blessed Boulevard with her because it just seemed like her irritability could not be satisfied by a bottle. Outside of the normal hour of feeding, Noelle was not settled. But when Mama gave me privilege to, when I say Mama, I mean my wife gave me privilege to hold her. And I remembered what my father-in-law used to do when his grandson, one of them, either the oldest or the youngest was Noelle's daddy, and he would walk them sometime, and he would call walking down the hallway, walking down Blessed Boulevard. And that's what I did with Noelle last week. I walked her down Blessed Boulevard. She wouldn't stop crying until I walked her down Blessed Boulevard. She didn't get settled down until I walked her down Blessed Boulevard. And I want to let somebody know, last Sunday when we were in here, we couldn't be in churches. God led me to finish what is now, because I had to rewrite it, Sister Neil. I had to rewrite Bridging the Wealth Gap through the temple tax. I couldn't finish. I couldn't publish it until I didn't come to a point where I felt at ease to release it until I got privilege from God to rewrite some portions of it and then delivered it, preached it. So, Sister Neil, that copy you have, I've rewritten that. God did something else with it. And I've been walking in that all day long because God going to do something in that, because it was not how he wanted it until I walked down Blessed Boulevard with Noelle in my arms, and then had to come and sit down at this desk right here and just stay here until he finished reworking it as it seemed fit for him. It sounds like the potter and the clay, doesn't it? When I had to go back into Exodus chapter 30 and verses 11 through 16. I had to go back in there and see what he was taking me back in there to see that I had not seen. Now I had walked down Blessed Boulevard with Noel before, but God sent me back with Noel. He sent me back, and after Noel had left, I had to come back to this desk because he wanted me to look at Matthew 17, verses 24 through 27, because I had missed something that he wanted me to insert for somebody, and I don't know who that was for, but I knew I had to come back. And what that old song used to be, have a little talk with Jesus, he will make everything all right. I don't know why I had to come back this evening after being here this morning for prayer, and then had to come back on a Tuesday night because somebody was unsettled, somebody was uneasy, somebody didn't have a full good day like you should, but Exodus chapter 30 called me back to this table, and I had to turn back to it and walk through it again. God gave me some more picks and shovels to dig within his word and get some understanding, because somebody's future was in jeopardy. Somebody's church, somebody's walk with God was impaired because they had not come back to the table. It seemed like this virus could not be properly ministered to because we had not gotten with God as God wanted us to get with him, because some persons who love sequestration or quarantine time and didn't understand why they couldn't just go out. God wanted you to come in because God has an answer. And I know that there's a chosenness about why I was in the hospital, why they came up with that diagnosis, and while I had to walk down Blessed Boulevard with my second granddaughter, who was born on the 3rd floor, while I was up on the 6th floor, the same hospital, and they had to give me a word that bridged the gap between my diagnosis and her delivery, and the purpose for which I had to walk down Blessed Boulevard with her to settle down her crying. And one of the lines in the Exodus text was that there would be no more plague. And we're in this Lenten season, y'all. We're in the Lenten season. And that verse 12 in biblical numerology represents the government of God, which God is in charge of his own government. But our speaking, we speak that which we understand that God is saying. And when God says a thing and you hesitate in saying it, then he gives you another purpose to come back to where he gave you revelation, and you have to speak from the power of that revelation. And that's what he did. I was able to give a more decisive understanding of Exodus chapter 30, verses 11 through 16, and then saw the uniqueness of this temple that they were talking about, how to sustain it, to maintain it, and to undergird it with persons who would present themselves to God to sow a 2 days wage, what you can make in 2 days, which distinguished the sweat of the brow curse from Genesis 3, when they believed that lying serpent more than they believed God. Adam and Eve did, and Adam had to walk through that curse. How does a father take care of his family if the ground upon which he has to farm in order to produce food, the food is cursed? What kind of child will Seth and what kind of children will you develop if you feed them cursed food? If you're walking with a curse on your life. So I had to come back to the table Saturday night and Saturday evening, and God had to rework. And God is doing a reworking in somebody's life right now. Somebody, you ain't called in, but me going over what I've surmised, what I've meditated on, is making you go over what you've been dealing with. And my meditation is helping you to deal with your medication. And your medication is getting another meditation to it. And your meditation is medicating your spirit. And you're getting answers from God right now that you couldn't normally get on your own. It's what they said, have a little talk with Jesus. And that's what happened with me. Because that Jesus personality came up in that Matthew text, Matthew 17, verses 24 through 27, where Jesus answering the question of the questioners, does your teacher, and they asked Peter that question, does your teacher pay the temple tax? And it was in Exodus 30, verses 11 through 16, where the foundation of the temple tax was laid. And now around the waters of Capernaum, Jesus is walking and he's teaching. He has been in the synagogue of Capernaum. Other miracles had happened in Capernaum. He was born and raised in Nazareth, but he made Capernaum his home and called it his home. God has a place for you, some circumstance in your life that what has become a second home for you, or a place where home life has meant so much to you that you've been able to hone in on just what it is. That God is defining that downtime, that discussion time, that time of a whirlwind. What is God doing in my life right now? When Jesus responded to Peter, it was in one of those moments, when those inquirers raised that question with Peter, does your teacher pay the temple tax, Jesus was nowhere around. But when he showed up around Jesus, Jesus knew what had been asked of him. And he made this whole discourse. I mean, you read it. Made this discourse about when a king, what does a king do? How does a king act? How does a king respond to children? If taxes are due, the children have to pay their daddy to live in that house? Or do subjects or those who have been conquered and they're now part of his kingdom? And Peter answered, and you know, all of us got privilege with God. All of us have privilege with the Son of God. All of us now are sons or daughters of this Son of God. Sonship has its, daughtership has its privileges. And Jesus gets to a point where he knows the answer. And he says, lest we offend them. I mean, they looking to get their answers. Does your teacher pay the temple tax? As if since he acts like God, talks like God, perform miracles like God, does he pay the temple tax? And Jesus says, unless we offend them. The kingdom don't want to offend anybody. But when it lays its foundation, when it laid its foundation, the consecration of Christ at Calvary purchased our salvation. And one of the clear enabling teachings of Jesus is that I will make you fishers of men. Jesus said, Peter, in order for you to answer this question from these inquirers, I want you to cast the line. You know, Peter was a fisherman. So I want you to cast the line now in this Capernaum water. And the first fish you catch, look at the direction of Jesus. How he know he's going to catch a fish. And the first fish you catch, with the possibility of others being caught, is there. But the first one, which gives the authority of stewardship, the first, it carries the authority of what first. The last shall be first, and the first shall, that first carries God's decided factor of dominion. And here comes the one who carries dominion in his own person. Says, man, the first fish you catch, open the mouth of that fish. Open the mouth. Open the mouth of the fish. And you will find a coin. This coin gives reference to that Exodus 30, 11 through 16 coin. In the Exodus text, it was a silver one. Here, it is a half shekel silver. As Jesus is highlighting here, and he says, when you find that coin, my brother, take it to those inquirers, which says to me, God has given you something that others have been inquiring about, and you have not been able to give the definition to it that you need to have to give it to them. And what happens here is that Jesus said, when you give it to them, it's going to satisfy their question when you say this is for my teacher, and the other portion is for me. So when you answer the Lord's question, you also get your answer answered, or you also get your question answered. When they raised the question about Jesus, and Peter gave an affirmative action, and now in affirming the action of Jesus by presenting the coin for the payment of the temple tax, it was not only paid for Jesus, but it was also paid for Peter. God got what you need, as you also satisfy your need for him, or his need that he can only feel in you. Because there is a presentation that had to be made by those in the Exodus text, that coin, that sacred offering represented. So as we get closer and closer to our Easter, where the Son of God became our ransom, he became the payment. What God wanted paid off. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. I got a gift to give y'all. I got a gift to give you. And I've been giving it all week. And I'll give it tomorrow morning. I'll give it. I'll give it. All you got to do is ask for it. All I need is your email address. And I'll give you, just like I gave it to Sister Neil here on Periscope tonight. Just like I got a new one to give her. I got to give her the copy that the Lord brought me back to this table to perfect, because it was not in a perfected form, or a form that he freed me to deliver on this quarantine, last quarantine Sunday. And I got to keep giving it, because that's what the Lord clarified in my spirit to give. So, Sister Neil, I got to send you the new copy. And I also got to send you the daily. Give us this day our daily bread. I have another daily to give you. It calls the Positive African American Family Daily. Because when you read this, and you did read that first portion, and found out you don't have to sell donuts from a donut store in order to undergird the upkeep of God's temple. You got to sell no donuts. You just got to offer yourself and do that 2 days wage, or sow that seed, sow that consecration seed, that atonement seed, or that ransom seed. Sow that and watch the one who paid, who went our bond, who took the key, stuck it in the lock, and unlocked us from the gates of hell, and gave us right to sing the Lord's song in a strange land, strange circumstances. Somebody got to give me one little opportunity to pray with you before I go. But all I need is your email address, and I can send you the copy of that daily, the Positive African American Family Daily, and I can also send you a copy of that treatise that I mentioned, that God sent me back to this table and I had to present it, and I've been presenting it. So let me let me give you my email address, and then you can send me yours, and I'll send the daily to you, as well as the coronavirus answer for families, for African American families. Sister Neil is she has already posted my email address. My God, Ronnie, RONNIE D.Joyner, JOYNER @gmail.com. Once again, Ronnie, RONNIE D.JOYNER @gmail.com. Because Sister Neil, I'm also recording on YouTube tonight, and that's for those subscribers there. Because I'm looking for some more subscribers, and this Bridging the Wealth Gap Temple Tax Subscription Ministry requires subscribers as well, and these subscribers are going to help you come to a level of living that you would not have come to lest we had come here to bring such a word tonight, and to expose you to it one more time. And that money you've been toying with and looking at, Sister Neil, I want to let you know God is going to settle all your money issues. And I'm telling you, if nobody else came prepared to release the seed, your seed is going to be released before Friday. Before Friday, your seed is going to be released, because you have an obedience about yourself, that mountains, decisions you've had to make, and I've seen you trying to make a decision to free up some funds. Well, God knows your heart, and you're going to be walking down Blessed Boulevard, as I was walking with Noel, and God going to settle the issue. He going to stop your crying. he going to stop your crying, because Noel stopped crying because she was in my arms. When you get on up in God's arms, God going to provide everything you need. Everything, hallelujah, everything you need. If this prayer time was meant for anything, it was meant that God is going to sing a song to you that's going to settle you down. He going to give you a song. And you know, I got to a point, Sister Neil, where I said, God, I want your peace. I want your peace to replace my peace. I want my peace to be yours. Because my peace don't last long. But I heard you say, this peace I give you. When I give you this peace. So by Friday, girl, God gonna finish some stuff for you that are gonna free you. It's gonna free you. Father, we pray right now that who I was to pray for and pray with was on the line the whole time. And as you told Peter to cast his line, and the first fish, Sister Neil was the first one up here tonight. So I believe that you as the king is going to be the king of her glory. She is entering into a new level of glory as you've opened the doors. You've opened the doors for her. And you've made some determinations. You're freeing up what needs to make her free. So, yea, though she walk through that valley and that shadow, something, not her, but something else gonna die, so that you can be her comfort, and no fear of evil. You are with her. Your rod and your staff is gonna bring her comfort. And she's going to be able to do what she's been yearning and turning to do. I told her I was going to keep the spot open because I knew that God was going to take care of everything because her heart had spoken. And now he hears the cries of the heart of his children, and he answers. So we pray, oh Lord, now that you've answered this yearning and this burning, we're going to shout a new shout in the days ahead because of what you've done. How I got over. My soul looks back, and I ain't got to wonder how I got over. It was nothing but the wonder movement of God. Thank you, Lord. Let me hear from you, my brother. Let me hear from you, my sister. I got something that God gave me with a clarification attached to it. And he wants you to have it, to clarify. Go and read, and before you email me if you want to, if you need to, go and read Exodus chapter 30, verses 11 through 16. Go ahead on and read Matthew 17, verses 24 through 27. And hear God speak to you and see Jesus work something in the text that he wants to work in you as his text. Give you new life as never before. Then you email me. Let me give you my email address. You have to write it down because you're going to have to send it. Because God is on this thing. God is on this. God is in this word. That email address is just like finding a text in the Bible and jotting it down. Here. And check this. When I give you this email address, jot down the Exodus text and the Matthew 17 text. It's Ronnie, R-O-N-N-I-E. D as in delivered. D period Joyner, Joyner at gmail.com. Ronnie, R-O-N-N-I-E period D period Ronnie D Joyner at gmail.com. And then right beside it, Exodus 30, 11 through 16. And then Matthew 17, 24 through 27. Father, I've done what you told me to do. Thank you for lifting burdens and for releasing blessings. In Jesus' name, amen and thank God. God bless y'all. See y'all tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. It's going to be a time, y'all. Going to be a time.